Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we're going to tell you all about Sting's first official AEW match. It has been announced, and we'll tell you what it is.
Former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley talks about potentially going back to WWE.
I'm going to tell you which AEW wrestler said F you to WWE when they tried to sign him.
And huge changes to the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the big story. The return to the ring after over 5 years of the 61-year-old pro wrestling icon Sting. He's going to wrestle his first official match for AEW at the Revolution pay-per-view. It's at the end of next month, February 27th. It's going to be him and Darby Allin against Team Taz's Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in a street fight. This was announced across AEW's social media platforms yesterday, and it comes on the back of the heavy teases on Dynamite. Team Taz interrupted a segment with Sting, Darby Allin, and Tony Schiavone saying, "Listen, you interfered in the TNT title match, Sting, you bad man with your bat. You want to take it to the streets? Look me up. I'm Taz, goddammit. The ball's in your court." Little whisper in the ear from Sting. Darby Allin said, "Be careful what you wish for, you might just get it." So from the moment that segment went down, it was pretty clear what direction they were heading in. The match is announced, it's happening, it's booked, it's going down. We don't know whether or not it's going to be a cinematic match or not. You would think so, because Sting is 61 years old and has his injury history, the back, the neck, everything else. Hasn't wrestled in 5+ years, and he has previously spoken about wanting to do cinematic matches, so you'd think they would go down that route. Or, you know, they might just have Sting no-sell Brian Cage's drill claw, pin him and Ricky Starks at once, then go to the backstage area to do bicep curls and smash whoppers with Tony Khan and the boys. I don't know. Adam Wilborn, what do you think?
I think just about like everyone, I saw this news, got very excited, and then there was obviously that pang of worry, because at the end of the day, like you say, it's a 61-year-old man, and this is no reflection on Brian Cage and his work, but it's still a 61-year-old man stepping in a ring, or a street fight to be actually more precise, with Brian sodding Cage. I mean, look at him. He could snap me like a bloody twig. But really exciting this, and you know, long overdue in my opinion. Obviously WWE completely buggered up what they were doing with Sting, and it's completely understandable that he took time away from the ring, and you would suspect it will be a cinematic match, like you say, just not because of those not just because of those limitations, but because when you've got someone as Hollywood handsome as Ricky bloody Starks, you put him in a cinematic match. But yeah, really excited. Revolution, like you say, end of next month, already shaping up to be a great pay-per-view with all the matches that we can speculate on that they seem to be heading in. But yeah, like I said, long overdue in terms of the fact that they've been teasing Sting, and people, I think, were getting a bit bored with the repetitiveness of just man comes out wearing bat and team of huge blokes, including Powerhouse sodding Hobbs, runs away because it's snowing a bit or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, can't wait for this.
Yeah, that's the thing with this match, isn't it? You look at a guy like Brian Cage and he's massive, and his offense looks so devastating. Like, he's really good at these snapping suplexes and the drill claw and everything else. But then you think about it and you think, well, Brian Cage, like, he has a reputation of being a very safe worker and all this stuff as well. So, you know, he's in there with a couple of really good guys. Starks in particular is really smooth, really good at the little details of pro wrestling. I'm really excited for this, man. It might be a disaster. Right, there's every chance this is gonna suck, because if you look at AEW's recent cinematic matches, the Hardy Compound thing and the Tooth and Nail match, But, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. We'll see some fake snow if they go cinematic with it. I am sure of that. We'll probably see Taz get involved. Why not? Michael Sidgwick booked this on Twitter earlier. Taz choking someone out with a Taz mission, and then Sting coming from behind to take him out. Hook could get involved. Future Wrestler of the Year 2021 Hook could get involved. So, hey man, color me excited. I'm a little mark for Sting. I don't care. I think it's class. Wrestling is good.
Yeah, I quite like that. I've got to say, I quite like the Hardy Compound match. Less so the Tooth and Nail match, like you're saying. Certainly, your expectations will be high when you've got brains like, you know, Taz and Sting getting around this match if it is going to be cinematic. And if you're going to do something terrifying with Sting, maybe put him in a body bag first, and then you can just Hoyer dollar round effectively, and it's a lot safer. Just a thought. That's a one way to get around, but quietly confident. Yes, Andy. Speaking of AEW though, let's talk about their former world champion Jon Moxley. He recently popped up on an Ask Me Anything session over on Bleacher Report and was asked about WWE, and his general response, I'm going to read you the whole response he gave was never say never. He said, you got to say never because you don't want to run back what you said years later because you don't know what will happen. Just the creation of AEW was so vital to the wrestling industry, and that's part of the reason why I'm so proud to be a part of it. I wouldn't rule out ever doing business with them again. We had a mutually beneficial relationship for a long time. If they called, I would listen, but I highly doubt we would ever be on the same page. I'd be open to an idea. I love this line. I don't not like money. I got a kid on the way and I got to put it through college, so I'd take a phone call, but I highly doubt anything would materialize. Well, looks like someone who insisted Dean Ambrose leaving WWE was at work is feeling pretty good about themselves, because Agent Ambrose has opened the door to a possible return. No, I'm joking, of course. But it makes sense. It's like you say, as much as he, blistered WWE on Jericho's podcast when he left, I think that was just venting for quite a justified issue with the company. But you're never going to fully shut the door on a company like WWE, even if we roll our eyes at some of their creative.
Yeah, this is an adult response. It's measured, it's honest. It's not just him going, no, F this, F that, blah, 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 like popping off. And like he was characterized to be doing when people got annoyed by his comments after he left the company. Jon Moxley's a real dude. He's legit. He's not going to puff something up and tell you a bunch of bollocks. He's going to tell you what he really feels about the situation. I think we will see pigs fly before we see him back in WWE, given the level of creative fulfillment he must feel today compared to when he was parading around with a gas mask and, saying Roman Reigns effectively deserved his illness and hot dog carts and Mitch, all of that guff that he, by all accounts, hated. So I don't think we'll ever see it. But Jon Moxley he's a real dude. He's telling you the truth. You don't rule these things out 100%. You keep the door just a little bit open, but when Mitch the potted plant peeps out through that door, you probably close it again.
I just love that line. I don't not like money. I mean, he's struggling at the end of the day. Poor bastard can't afford razors to shave his chest anymore. He got that rug out on Dynamite this week.
The love rug. The love rug. Renee Paquette is a lucky woman. Jon Moxley's a piece, by the way. Speaking of people who... something about WWE, I don't know, there's your link. Powerhouse Hobbs. Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs. The Team Taz member, the big beefy boy. He was on... what's it called? AEW Unrestricted, the podcast with Aubrey Edwards.
I always do that as well, mate. I do that all the time.
Aubrey Edwards, referee of the year, Tony Schiavone. He was the guest, and he spoke about a situation where how he had a WWE tryout back in the day. He had a dark match against Baron Corbin. He thought things went well, but WWE didn't really give him the call, didn't really express any interest until something interesting happened. Here's the quote. The WWE tryout was good. They said, "We don't have anything for you right now." Years later, the carrot dangled in front of me, and I pretty much told them, "F you!" right when I appeared on AEW, you want to be like, "Hey, remember me?" So basically saying, as soon as you started making waves on AEW television, as was the case with Eddie Kingston, WWE were like, "Hey pal, purely coincidental," but he goes on and on and on, saying, the way I was raised, I don't have time for that, S-H-I-T. I'm not boohoo the fool, as my grandmother would say. Hey, we've been thinking about you, and we are interested in you, WWE. No, F you. I'd rather you tell me 100% than try to BS me. So, like I said, it's the same situation as Kingston, right? WWE doing their scouting by watching AEW. That's probably how they discovered Ben Carter as well. He ended up signing for WWE as well. But I think Powerhouse Hobbs He's a very interesting prospect. One of the funnest things about AEW is it kind of has that early NXT appeal where you're watching these people who aren't finished developing yet, but you're watching them grow and build and expand on their skills and become different things. And it's a very rewarding experience. And Powerhouse Hobbs, along with, Anna Jay and people we haven't even seen wrestle yet, like Jade Cargill and Hook, following these people is a big part of the appeal. I think he's made the right choice. I think Taz is a great guy for him to learn from because Taz is just so scary when he's on the microphone and so aggressive. You've already seen Hobbs with the towel and everything and with the orange and black attire. I think it's a good fit for him. I think Will Hobbs is a lot of fun to watch already, and I'm looking forward to following his development.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say to this. I'm not surprised whatsoever. Complete respect for Powerhouse Hobbs' response to it all. I think absolutely fair enough. You're totally justified. Because like you say, it's happened to Eddie Kingston. You've seen what happened with Ben Carter. I would not be surprised if Jade Cargill comes out and says, "You know what? I got a message on my machine immediately after I popped up on AEW Dynamite." Like, it's just what they do. It's just a bit of a sneaky bastard way of doing it, isn't it, really? And yeah, I think, what's the phrase? You stick with the person who brought you to the dance or whatever it is. Whatever that is. I've just butchered that phrase or whatever. Anyway, let's conclude by talking about NXT and the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic with a huge change being brought about. Of course, we saw the fight pit this week with Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher taking lumps out of each other. Timothy Thatcher eventually emerging victorious via submission in there. And they have subsequently been announced by General Manager William Regal as replacing the team of Ashanti the Adonis and Desmond Troy in the tournament after, how can I put this? Karrion Kross killed them on NXT this week. This is a coupon buster for me, Andy, because I was like, well, look to this tournament, MSK, then Grizzled Young Vets. And I put Drake Maverick, Killian Dane winning the whole thing and going to win the NXT Tag Team Championships. But now you've got two guys who are terrifying in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to add too much to this, but it's a clear upgrade in terms of name value, at the very least. Immediate favourites for the tournament for me, and shout-outs to one of our Twitter question askers yesterday who called this down the line. Good stuff.
I'm going to find it. Shall I find it? I'll try and find it here. Jake. It was Jake.
There he is, okay. 72 Jakes. Love him.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions for today, though, at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, we want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from Mad Pancakes, who says, "Morning, lads. Okay, this might be a stupid theory, but then again, Vince McMahon is mad." Yeah, this is why I'm asking it, because I feel the exact same thing. I think both Royal Rumble winners will be a surprise that we won't expect. So, Andy Murray, as she's been off TV for over a month, do you think Lana will win just to troll us?
Imagine that. Imagine like the final four is like the four biggest names you could possibly concoct. Charlotte Flair included, Shayna Baszler, whoever else, and just I think that would be a very Vince McMahon move to do. But the past couple of Royal Rumbles, they have been quite good. Charlotte aside, maybe, in giving you the winner that you really want. So, I would laugh, but I don't see it happening.
I think that she's 100% going to be the number 30 entrant, but she ain't winning. I think it's between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, but that would be an excellent troll from WWE. I mean, that is number 30. Is definitely happening, but she ain't winning, I'm afraid. No, I'm not afraid. I'm happy about that. Phil Hughes, second question of the day. Thanks for this, Phil. It says, "Morning, guys. We all associate late 80s WWE with Hulk Hogan, but given the NWO and Monday Night Wars, do you think Hogan was more successful in WCW or WWE?" I like this. Bit of a retro question, Andy.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and there's lots of different parts of this debate that you can incorporate, lots of nuance to it, and we could probably talk about this for 30 minutes if we wanted to, but ultimately for me, Hulk Hogan is the most important figure in pro wrestling history, primarily because he was at the very heart of WWE's golden era, that first boom, going national, WrestleMania, the rock and wrestling era. When wrestling really exploded in popularity, he was the guy, and for me, it's hard to get past that, although he was fundamentally important to WCW as well, obviously, but also Hulk Hogan, you know, with his politicking and massively high contract, he wasn't the only guy who did that, of course, but he's also at least a little bit responsible for that promotion's untimely demise as well. So there's that to take into account too.
The correct answer is, in fact, TNA. But thanks for the question, Phil. Final question today comes from Mr. Surprise Roll-Up, who says, "Morning, silly sausages." Okay. After getting everyone's hopes up to see Carlito a few weeks ago, only to be disappointed, do you think WWE could try to bring him in as a surprise entrant in the Rumble to make up for it? I think this is a great shout.
Yeah, they might do that. I think that's a good shout. The Carlito thing was hilarious. Same with the Candice Michelle thing, where they were just like, hey, these people are going to be there. Well, we weren't even at, what the hell's going on? And Carlito was like, hey, I'm not traveling in the middle of a global bastard to do this, but maybe he'd do it for the Royal Rumble. I think it'd be a cool surprise. I want to see him maybe not spit an apple on someone.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Maybe, I don't know, throw it at someone's head. That'll do.
They'll probably do some hilarious joke where he bites the apple, then puts a mask on and accidentally spits it in his own face or something. Or, like you said, or like you alluded to with him and Candice Michelle before, they'll probably just not tell him and hit their music and then be like, well, where are they? What do you mean they're at home?
Oh, no. What have we done?
Let's move on to today's and a shout out. I'm taking my life in my hands here. Shout out to Mustafa Ali, who tweeted this PSA last night. Please delete your horny tweets before coming after me. Oh, it's awful that when you think you've buried someone on Twitter and then they go through and go, this you, and it's your thirsty tweet from 4 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah, he did a great job of absolutely destroying a certain former wrestling journalist with something like this a few weeks ago that I won't mention, but if you know, you know. Mustafa Ali is phenomenal at social media. Phenomenal.
And deserves so much better, WWE. How are you messing this up? Anyway, let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Me and Michael Sidgwick sitting down to preview SmackDown a little bit later on today. And of course, Wrestle Culture with a hashtag Bloody Good Quiz. Let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. While you're there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hail Stan. I like Stan more than Satan. Satan's not good. Don't hail him.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one, I think. Follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you soon. Hail Stan.
Tell us your favourite Stan on Twitter. Go on.